Hey everyone, I'm Johnny Murtaugh, and I'm starting a new podcast called Johnny Murt Talks, where I'm going to be interviewing cool people in New York City. And today we have my friend Rip, who I'm very happy to be, talking to today. Welcome, Rip. Thank you for having me. We're actually in his home. Rip, can you
Hmm.
explain where we are?
Oh, we are virtually in the depths of the Ear Inn, the James Brown House, building on Spring Street at Washington Street, home of the Ear Inn pub, in case anybody ever found that. But we're upstairs in our Earadio production studio.
So, to butt in here, the Ear Inn, he's being modest, is the second oldest bar in all of New York City, right after Francis Tavern. Happens to be my favorite bar in all of New York City. And the James Brown House is what year? Sometime in the 1700s, right?
Well, it was around 1790s probably because we found in the reconstruction of the roofing, we found recycled timbers from the Great Fire in 1776. Back then, New York City was just a small town on the end of the island. And um, when the Revolutionary War came, the city was subject to a big fire. It burned out about a third of all the buildings, all of which were wood construction. And so the historians found these timbers in our attic and said these are cut and reused from that great pile of debris that happened in the Revolutionary War. Of course, this was built maybe for whatever year before 1800. It was registered in 1817 when the city of New York mildly, humbly joined Greenwich Village and the rest of the neighborhood to the city of New York.
Ooh, interesting. And also, so I guess in terms of the oldest buildings in New York, this is probably one of the oldest ones, right?
No, there are numerous other ones in the West Village of the same age, 1800,
Okay.
17 something. The oldest building in the city is a farm barn in Brooklyn,
Oh,
the name
yes,
of which
yes.
eludes me, but it's a city house museum. So they have the 1680 or something barn with its implements there for educational purposes. But I mean, this is one of many row houses that were tossed up as the city expanded tremendously after the founding of the country and when New York City was the capital briefly. And so we have the urban legend, I would say, of our founder, James Brown,
Yes.
who has been variously described as a freed slave, an aide to Washington, a entrepreneur, and when the house was originally registered in 1870, it was James Brown, tobacconist. So he was in
Oh,
the trade from the south to the north to Europe in that Indian weed called tobacco.
okay.
Then it later became a pharmacy and a brewery and a pub and a saloon, and now it's a.
And something else upstairs as well.
But now we deal in all media.
It was also a brothel at one point, correct?
I didn't. I was not the cashier back then. I wouldn't know whether it was back in the days of free love. Like it may have been more expensive than you know.
But I remember you said also it was known coast to coast. So just to kind of set the scene a little bit, so the Ear Inn is about 2 blocks from the Hudson River today, but it used to be directly on the Hudson River. So I guess can you explain the coast to coast thing and why it's no longer on the Hudson River?
Well, they landfill the river out to Washington Street initially. Our door was once where a beach was. Greenwich Street was the path to walk along the shore.
Insane. Okay.
In indigenous times for 1,000 years. You walked up, but became dubbed Greenwich Street to get to the original Lenape village, which was on Christopher Street and Greenwich Street.
I did not even know that.
And so when the Europeans came and started building and a lot of commerce, they took trash and rocks and hills and then they pushed them into the river and made the landfill, which is Lower Manhattan. This house was once on the beach, but it has settled 6 feet since it was built. There are the remnants of windows in the deep basement of the Ear Inn, which were accessible either for commerce or an apartment. Like you see up on in the village on Charles Street, there's a same age townhouse, which is a little up the hill.
Yep.
It has a Georgian columns and federal design Flemish bond brickwork
Okay.
and then a iron wrought walkway down to a basement apartment and a walkway up into the salon of the
Oh, whoa.
residence. That's what this house used to have before it sunk into the muck.
Insane.
And but we enjoyed the muck.
But you've done an awesome job at upkeeping the house. So Rip has been here since when did you find the house? And also today where the Erin and the James Brown house is a more affluent area than it used to be. It's in like the Soho Hudson Square area today, but when Rip found it in the 1970s, can you describe what's
Well, I
so
was a student in 1973.
okay? And
I
remind me, where were you a student again?
up that upstate college called Columbia University.
Heard of it. Okay, yep.
And against all advice, I and my buddies took the upstairs collapsing uh, quarters, which was 5 different rooms, 3 bedrooms, and 2-story for $100 a month. The only problem is there's no heat and no toilet. So
Not ideal.
well, we were young and brave, and we could do that. We and then we since refitted the whole place, but the whole house was collapsing.
What made
So
you come?
I went into the bar as off my bicycle while I was looking for something else. I was living in an apartment with hardly enough room for the bed, and I looked at a brick wall. And I'm from the big wide West, born in New Mexico, and I used to the big skies. And I said, I can't live in a cage. So we came down here and found this, and then we shared it and fixed it. And we're still here fixing the roof. I told the bartender, if you let me live here, I'll fix the roof. That is still the deal.
He's never left.
No, we pray for rain so we have a reason to stay.
Any leaks or how's
Oh,
it
yeah.
holding up?
It's fine. That's yeah, actually, thanks to Adrian, it's less legally than ever. But
So
it's a constant battle because the building keeps shifting every year. The big cracks happen and water gets in. So the place has been in decline for 2 centuries. And if anything, I hope that our efforts have postponed the rate of decline of the building to less than that of our own. So the building will outlive us.
yep. Well, you guys have done a great job maintaining it. This is something
Hmm.
old world New York City that doesn't exist anymore. You guys should see his apartment upstairs above the Ear Inn. It's just something that doesn't exist in the city. And also, even the Ear Inn, I feel like just has like an old school feel that there's no other bar in New York that can even match it. Like Francis Tavern, even though it's the oldest bar, doesn't have that feel. It's been
Well, it's a rebuild
it's a
in the
rebuild,
early
yeah.
1900s.
So this is the original.
Well, we are the pig's ear versus the silk purse.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
As the daughters and sons of the American Revolution have their official headquarters in Francis Tavern in the museum upstairs.
Oh wait, I forgot about that. Yes.
Whereas we have the museum of knackered sailors in our little house museum.
Well, also, your museum is arguably one of the best in New York City in terms of colonial items. So you told me this before, but kind of dark history. But the reason why you have the largest collection is because 9/11. I kind of remember.
Yes, well,
Do you want to talk about that?
well, in brief, the historical record of the city of New York in documents and archaeology are with the New York Historical Society, the City Museum, and the private collections, the Schomburg. But they had at a certain point decided to put all of their physical evidence and artifacts plus documentation into a secure, deep burial in the World Trade Center.
Oh,
And so some 50,000 items in the database one day turned into ash. And when we were digging our foundation here next door for the glass house, we kept finding wild animal bones, colonial pipes, glasswork, Dutch. This,
that was
that,
right
that.
underneath the ear.
Right here, yes. And so when they heard we had a dig, they came and said, we'll take everything because all of our other evidence is gone.
From colonial times that they.
Can you imagine the city of
Ugh.
London losing everything it ever dug up? So, there's still information, but the New York Historical Society took buckets of our debris while we were digging it out of our basement to keep from collapsing from the construction next door. And then they put a little display at the Central Park West Museum under glass. So you walk over the Dutch pipes and the glass works and this have all dug out of this basement
Wait, so funny.
as permanent display to the public.
So that's my favorite museum in the city. I've seen that exact spot, 20 times, and I've never known that it came from the year in. Whoa. Because you also have quite the collection up here as well.
Well, we have a few bits and bobs, and
Okay.
we might find more, dare we dig.
We got to go back in
Whenever
that
we open a
basement.
wall, we find a new skeleton. Says, hey, I remember you.
Also, before we move on from the 9/11 topic, I know it's kind of a difficult topic to talk about, but you were in the city that day. What was the year in like?
9/11.
Yes.
Well, it was a lovely September afternoon, just like today. A rather morning dawn. And I was here. We had whatever project we were working on. I had a meeting at 8 in the morning, and then I had to commute up to Haverstraw, Hudson Valley, to rig a boat. So it was very quiet, but as I left, I saw the first plane hit. Then I saw sirens and fire. And I said, well, this is a terrible accident, but I got to go to work. I went up over the GW Bridge and saw the second plane hit and stayed, and then went away from the city. We were not allowed back over the bridge or in the city. Meanwhile, people who were driven out of the neighborhood came here. And so we had dozens of people staying in these quarters who were driven out by the smoke or the sheer terror of it. And so this again became kind of a refuge for the neighborhood.
Did the dust make it all the way up here?
No, the wind was such that it blew it all over the east side in Brooklyn,
Okay.
but you could smell it here.
Crazy.
And it went on, and the fire went on for months. Couldn't put it out. And I always remember the comment of an elderly resident who had escaped the Holocaust, who said, you know that smell, that's the smell of humans burning.
Horrific. Did the ear and stay open that day?
Well, it opened up, and then I wasn't here for a week. I couldn't come across the bridge.
Oh, I forgot because
I
they
had
locked
to
everyone out of
find,
the
I had
city.
to bring paper evidence that I have my apartment here. They wouldn't let me just drive in.
Yep.
Because they thought there would be more coming, more devastation, but nothing happened after that. It's a bit of a foggy memory for me now because it's 24 years ago.
That,
All I know is I went up to the boat yard and we were launching a boat, and as we listened to the radio news, we just stopped all our work and went home. And but again, I believe the Earadio just gave away food and drink for people to come in
place of refuge.
and put people up.
Oh, horrible.
Well,
But also that you guys obviously, were
well,
able
we
to do
have
that.
a few beds hiding here, and if you get here early, you'll get a bunk. But we've been through 9/11 and Sandy and the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. You know, the big riots on Spring Street during the Civil War.
I actually do not. Wait,
Oh,
is
well, somebody won.
that
And, many other social turmoil has happened around here. The most delicious of which, while we're at it, was the fight between the river pirates, including Sadie the goat and Mara, whatever her name was, two women pirates who lured innocent sailors into places like this. And this is in the book of Gangs of New York.
and this is a true story?
Well, it's true if it was printed.
Got it. Okay,
And so
we'll take it.
And we reprinted it in our Ear Environs history book about the house in the neighborhood. But basically, these gangs would prey on sailors, and they go out and crawl up and steal stuff from boats at the dock, or go out and actually commandeer boats. And they had a fight over the turf. One was up on Houston Street, the other was down Spring Street. And they had a fight where one of them cut the ear off the other
No
and then
way.
put it in a locket as a symbol of her mastering of her enemy, or it was down, it was, and they described this in the book in 1927. They finally reconcile at a sailor's bar at the end of Spring Street.
Wonder
I wonder what happened to
where
that
is.
ear.
Wait, also I've never heard this, and I think I've read and heard stories about the ear and why it has that name from you, but does that play into it?
I don't know nothing, man.
Or-
I still got my 2 ears. You know, they used to cut them off if I.
So I guess the traditional telling of why the ear in is called the ear in is because you guys had to get around a signage issue.
Well, with the Landmarks Commission and the neon, our red feathered friend out there,
Okay.
they did not want us to keep the sign. They said it's not historic. You have to take it off. They can't make us take it off though, but we can't add to it. So we subtracted, and they said, "Well, what can we do? We're not that good at math." Yeah.
So there's just
So we painted out the B to an E, and
love it.
we continue to develop the marketing plan. It could be the E bar, the far
Love
bar,
it. It's
the
fantastic.
far bar. There's lots of, could go through many life uh, branding exercise
But I guess,
under same old new management.
but I'm surprised, Rip, when you came to the bar in the 1970s, it was a bar, correct? And what was it called?
Had no name.
Oh, it had no name. Okay. So it finally got a name in what year? Around 1970 something?
Well, when we painted out the B,
Got it.
the
Got
old
it.
timers just thought it was the same thing. They called it the green door because it has
Oh,
the old
interesting.
green paint on the old door. But it was not a public pub in the sense that if you went in there, if you didn't know somebody, they'd stare you out. But the place was only open from Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to noon, no food, no music, no party.
Wait, what were those
There was
hours
a
again?
morning bar,
Okay.
sailors, longshoremen, people doing business on the waterfront, 5 a.m. to noon, Monday through Friday.
Ridiculous.
So no weekends, no
So
young people, no women, no tourists, no
that's
poodles, no champagne.
that was not the clientele. So again, back in that time, or I guess what time would that have been? What year?
I moved in 1973 at the
Okay.
age of 21.
Got it, got it, got it. So pre all of that, I guess this was one of the biggest shipping ports in the world, and people would always come through here.
Oh yeah, just watch the movie On the Waterfront. It was filmed right next door.
Okay.
And there were still ships coming in when I moved in.
And
There'd be, big honking of horns and scrambling crews offloading. The last cargo was curiously cacao and spices from various tropical countries. And there was a warehouse that's still there right behind you. They're now luxury condos, which was a spice refining facility. They take it off the ship and then they pack it up. But every day they do a different spice. So this very room, we sit here,
Spice.
there was a back garden with an open air. We have these wafting. Today is cinnamon, the next day is nutmeg. And my housemate Shari Deans are the same. Says, it's like living in the Spice Islands. We don't have to go all the way there. They bring all the spices here.
classic. When did that end up closing then?
Well, by 1980,
Okay.
it's all poodles.
Got it, got it, got it.
But this was a very much a working neighborhood and a very dangerous place. If you had no reason to be here, you would never want to be here.
So for everyone that walks around Soho today, it's like jammed with all the luxury shops. It was not always like that. What was it like when you would walk around when you initially moved here? What was the West Side Highway like? What was Soho like? What was, the area directly around the Erie Inn like?
Well, this was a working trucking shipping area. So particularly there was the big food market for the whole city was just south of Canal.
Oh,
So
okay.
we had cheese and dry goods, and the meat market was up in the village.
Do you mean like
So
a
there was a
grocery
lot of-
store? Like,
No, these are all the wholesalers.
oh,
Shiploads
got it,
coming in
got
and
it, got it,
getting
got
the
it, got it,
ship-
got it.
And push carts would come over the Brooklyn Bridge and fill up with vegetables, and they'd push it over and sell them in the neighborhood.
Oh,
That was the old local culture. And
Got
then
it,
it
got
all
it,
got
got it.
replaced by Wall Street and the big residential and business district. They moved the food market up. But there's still a lot of ship activity. Quickly gone, but above all, there was a homeless encampment at the end of Spring Street under the then elevated West Side Highway, where hundreds of people would camp through the winter. One of the largest, with the last one, they call the Hoovervilles from the Depression. The biggest one had been across the street before they built the truck terminal, which is now the UPS Center,
Oh,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
big lot of demolished tenements and housing that then became a campground for the displaced and unemployed
I did
when
not
they
know
were kicked
this.
out of Central Park.
Oh, I did. Okay, yes.
And so if you look into the details of the social history, this was sort of a dumping ground for the distressed at the time, who often would work on the dock for a little pick up food that was spilled. And we used to go scavenging, get wheels of cheese and buckets of tomatoes and all. There's food all over the place, just thrown out after the market. Like in any market, you could just go find something.
That's old school New York.
Well, we were proper university students who had to do our part of sociological scavenging.
Here we
so
go,
that
as one must.
we must understand where we may have to actually survive someday.
The ramen of the day, you know.
And the homeless center had a couple of 50-gallon oil barrels full of wood for fire, and it was an eternal flame. It was there all year round, and you were welcome to sit around and get warmed up if you brought either wood or cheap wine.
And the cops did nothing to stop
No,
the
no, no.
outside
This was a
fire.
relief. They weren't camping on Fifth Avenue.
Okay.
They're all on the piers where it was a very desolate and often dangerous place. And our friends, we would escort them to the subway because they otherwise would get bugged on the way here.
Ridiculous. So one thing that I want to go back to is the West Side Highway. Everyone knows the West Side Highway today, beautifully landscaped, full of hot people. What was it like back then? So you said elevated highway, but what was it like? Was anyone down there? Who was hanging out there? Would love to hear what it was like in the 1970s.
Well, it was the debris of the city of New York, who either couldn't take the preaching on the Bowery or ran out of all funds and they ended up sleeping on the river.
Okay.
But there was a covered double bridge at Canal Street, the big area where they put their camping, and they built sort of tiny homes, and there were many of them. But nobody had any other purpose to be down there. There was
Okay.
no clubs or restaurants or anything. There was a diner for the workers. But this is just as all of that moved over to new facilities in Jersey, Staten Island.
Yep.
And so it suddenly became abandoned piers. And then as the neighborhood got infiltrated by artists and desperate nobodies like us, the piers became a playground, and they had one big pier right at the end of Spring Street, which was broken into. The walls were damaged and kept being opened up. So people would go in there and do performances and sculptures or big paintings. And so the Pier 34 became known as the Art Pier.
Oh.
Meanwhile, up in Christopher Street, you had the piers there were sort of the romper room for the gay community. And while AIDS happened, it was like a complete plague upon the whole neighborhood. And, tens of thousands of people died of the disease that was contracted while having a party on the pier. Finally, the city's solution was to tear down the pier.
That pier alone or all of the piers?
No, finally all of them, because they were
Okay.
being burned out, or they were people squatting on them, and they just couldn't control it because maybe you could think it was closed up, but people get in. And so it all became demolished finally. And then the Hudson River Park rebuilt it as a beautiful riverside park. This complete change from the mayhem of a certain era to a controlled urban experience, I'm going to call it, because I used to be kayaking and boating off of here. And when the park took over, then I had to apply for a license to either land or get a mooring. I said,
it was a whole
hey,
thing.
I live here. Can't I just pull my boat up? Well, curiously, this house has what they call traditional docking rights because it was on the river. We could press in court. The city would have to give us a landing out on the current pier.
So do the
But
docking rights,
I've decided to fish in other waters.
but to this day, does the Ear Inn have docking rights?
It could if we legally went through the procedure,
Insane
but
again.
we have no steamship to accommodate.
We got to get on those docking rights, Rip. I think we need that to be part of the Ear Inn.
That's right. A trip to nowhere and back. That's right.
So do you prefer pre or post gentrification of the West Side Highway? It seems like it could go either way.
Well, it was a wilderness back then. I mean, social wilderness. It was concrete and debris and bodies on the street, police cars chasing who knows around, shooting, and we often had a duck sing. There's another caper. I remember catching a wild NYPD horse that got away once. So it was sort of a more unpredictable neighborhood than it is now. Everybody with their dog walking and their deliveries and all this. You can't hold on to what won't happen again. But again, this may all turn around and be something different. I mean, this house has survived so many changes here that Disney, Google, in 100 years, nobody will remember them, but they'll still be having
So
fun.
true.
But, again, it's downstairs.
And you guys have done a phenomenal job maintaining the history integrity of the building. It's like insane. There's
Well,
almost nowhere in Lower Manhattan that looks like this.
well, Starbucks has made us many an offer, but we just can't do it. We want Ronald McDonald if we're really going to go.
You gotta go big.
No,
Yeah.
nobody wants to. This place is a condemned building, fire trap, has no insurance, has no finance, and then it has all these people downstairs who think they know what they're doing. Who would want to believe all that?
It has a lot of character.
A lot of characters.
Yes. Wait, speaking of
But
characters,
unfortunately, they're not as rough as they used to be because at the back of the bar in the dining room used to be a strong house. Past the pool table, there was an iron barred steel case, tiny room where they kept the money and the guns.
guns
and-
plural.
Well, absolutely. And so this was, dangerous territory.
True.
And we found a gun in the chimney up here in our renovation once.
One's
And-
got to keep it back up in colonial times.
Well, we got a call from somebody that wouldn't identify themselves. Hey, that was my uncle's gun. You give it back because it's state's evidence and we don't want you to give it in. I said, well, please come by. I'll interview you. I don't fucking talk to nobody. Give me my gun back.
Ridiculous. Giving a madman a gun. I don't know if that's the best option.
No, it was in 1920. It was all totally rusted and totally inoperable. There was a little two-shot Derringer.
Did he
And
get
it
the
was
gun?
stuffed. No, he never
Okay.
showed up. We had the FBI ready for him.
Do we
We
still
want to
have?
reopen that case. I mean, we got to keep busy. Got to keep busy in the law.
Do we still have the gun?
Yes.
No way. Like on premise. Actually, you don't have to say, just in case.
I wasn't there, officer. My wife will say it was the other gal.
Okay, moving on. So you did say the Ear Inn, of course, has a lot of characters. Everyone who works here is fantastic. But over the years, who have you seen pass through, the Ear Inn? Any famous characters? Whom?
Whom? Let me see. Let me start with the Grinch and
Okay. The Grinch is a good one.
Pokemon well, this is the site of when at the end of the bar down there where our local hangout, Walt Whitman, said to Herman Melville, "Hey, sailor, are you new in town?"
No way.
Yeah. So it is written.
Love it. If it's written down, it's true.
But in our time, we've had all sorts of people flow through here, many of whom I have never heard of. But as a music camp, we've had a lot of musicians come by.
Okay.
And before the Ear Inn was opened as the restaurant bar it is, we had a poker table. And because of Shari Dean, she had her old friend Yoko Ono come by and bring her boyfriend, whatever his name was, Bob? No, John. Lamb. And he came back to play poker with Shari, along with a number of other characters at the time, I don't remember, in the front room.
Up here, down there.
No, up here. And
Oh,
then
whoa, okay.
that was when the bar closed at noon. And the house was very quiet except for our little gatherings up here, and then it would open up in the morning. But there was no pub for the public back then. But
Even more
and at the
exclusive
same
back then.
time, this is in my tender years, new into the city. by chance, I met Salvador Dali,
Oh, wow.
who was an old friend of Shari's. She moved in here in 1973 at the age of 75.
Okay.
And my mother, I told my mother, I'm living with an older woman. She's older than you. But her old friend was Salvador Dali and invited him by for lunch one day. Again, before the pub was open,
Yep.
the year in.
So you invited him up here.
Yeah, so he had a table
Okay.
in the living room, and he was the, let's say, unpredictable Spanish artist. She called him the Spanish clown because he came to New York in 1939, the same year she did as a refugee. And then they stayed in and out of New York during the war and they got to know each other. Famously did Bonwit Teller windows and made public displays back in the 40s. And so when I met him at a concert I was doing in Midtown for a dance company that I was the music director of with aerial dancers. And he came, he wanted to see people fly. He said, I want to fly. And he wanted to join the company. And we did an event with him, strapping him in circus trapeze stuff to lift him up. And we're gonna break his hips. But anyway, he came down here for lunch with Shari, and they spoke French. But she cooked for him. Cerveau de Bournois Capra. So broiled calf brains with
Ooh.
burnt butter and capers, a Mediterranean specialty. I remember Salvador Dali said, "Oh, c'est ça, c'est plus intelligent, no? It make me smarter, right?" And she agreed. I should have had a camera because I was, Rube from across the river, and I didn't know who these people were. But and so that was sort of the curiosity of my time. I was new in New York, and I was suddenly having lunch with Salvador Dali. I didn't know who he was. So that's the magic of the year. If there is anything, and I'm kind of digging through those memories because things that sort of went by I didn't notice because I was so busy.
And the ear just attracts that kind of magic. I feel like it's one of those places in New York that is super low key, but it's just super old school. People could pass through here if they're famous. You're not gonna acknowledge them. It's just New York City, old school, right?
Well, we wish we had a back door so more of us could slip in and out without being noticed. But it's still a cramped little business. I mean, it's in the world of restaurants. This is still rather modest, I guess.
And
The kitchen is restricted, the menu is limited. So it's mostly about coming and talking to people.
best people, and also the fact that you guys can stand out front in front of the neon sign, and then you guys have those benches is awesome because I think a lot of places in New York don't have that.
Well, I don't want to mention it to our friendly city officials, but this is the only place in the city that has had this sort of historical past. We always say
Okay.
we've always been doing this. How can you do this? We have our Landmarks Commission certificate up here, and we've been here before you. Your grandparents drank here. What do you mean? They sat right there. Why would you want? Because they keep condemning our sidewalk. Now they want to take out the trees because they're illegal species. Take out the benches because they obstruct the dog walkers.
We're keeping the
And every year,
trees. We're
every
keeping the
year we,
benches.
well, every year we meet a new set of inspectors, and then they finally get the word, yeah, leave them alone.
We got to pull up that deed from the 1700s, get those river rights.
Well, we have threatened to the city inspectors to secede from the city of New York because we predate all of the regulations.
Yep.
And if they give us too much of a hard time, we're going to found the People's Republic of Iran and secede, as is our Balkan right.
There we go. Also, this is like a museum, so I feel like you guys should have some sort of better status.
No, we've threatened to give the house to the city, but they won't take it without an endowment, and they also you cannot have residence or business. It has to be a museum.
Oh,
Like
no
many of the
way.
Hamilton Grange and numerous beautiful houses that the city owns, there's a dozen or more of the Gracie mansions. You just can't let anybody inside other than on a tour. And so that gets in the way of our actual living
Oh, interesting. Yes.
reality. So we pay our taxes and we get no discount. We get no assistance.
So what would be the benefit of giving the house to the city? You wouldn't own it.
Well, they wouldn't tax. No, they couldn't stay here. Can't
Oh,
use
okay,
it.
okay, okay. Got it, got it,
And
got it.
so it's, city doesn't want, unless it's very important, this is very vernacular. It's not really a historically monumental place. It's more the people's life and the vernacular of the city. So that way it stays on, but
Got it, got it. But again, I feel like even in books and websites, the ear in is underrated in how historic it is. So I think we already explained this, but out front it says 1800 on the bar, correct? But it's older than that,
1817,
or 1817.
that's the registration with the city.
Yes, so that is a misleading number because again, that's when it was incorporated into the city. So it's much older than 1817 is what I'm trying
It's around 1800. Again,
to. Okay.
the charred timbers from the fire of 1776 push it back into the previous century
Got it, got it, got it.
because they gobble that stuff up. So maybe it is 1790. I mean, it's all a guess. So we've commissioned historians to dig through the records to, say yay or nay. Particularly Cheryl Wilson, who was the director of the Schomburg Center in Harlem. We said, you are the one to find out whether James Brown was an African American. And so there were all kinds of records that came up with James Brown, but it was signed by X.
Oh,
James Brown was not only an English-Irish name, it was also given to many African Americans saying, well, James, you're James Brown, here, sign here. So we just don't know.
oh, interesting.
And so
Okay.
this picture of James Brown in the boat on the
Crossing,
Delaware,
yeah.
that's complete fabrication because the painting was from the 1850s, done in Germany with models. And in one of these giant paintings that went around on tour like a movie,
Okay.
but the historical basis of that is completely unfounded, even though he looks good.
I like the
Just
lore.
just needs a different hat. See his profile, but, and so, our official city landmark status is as the James Brown House. The Ear Inn is just the name of the pub.
Got it, got it, got it.
But when the James Brown, I mean, the following James Brown, the soul singer, came to New York, I went to Madison Square Garden to go see him. Here's our namesake.
Did he come down?
And I went backstage to find him, but he was famous for, you say, kill him and leave. He was doing, oh, I'm alive. One more, and they carry him off. He'd immediately get on the bus and he'd leave and go to the next town for a show. And so I got to talk to his manager who said, Mr. Brown, he don't like New York because the fried chicken's no good. So he won't come and see his house. I said, James Brown, you got a house in New York, come and party, man.
Did he come
He
down?
never did.
We should have lied and said he
Hey,
did.
Ian. Well, it's believe it or else kind of a sort of. But had he come, we've had a lot of other musicians come through.
Anyone else notable that beyond who we talked about? We can also keep it secret. We got to keep it,
It's all secret.
keep them guessing.
So,
Uh,
well, yeah, who's our most famous neighbor? She's so famous, I can't remember her name.
too big. Now,
No, we've had, you can check the bathroom walls. They're all written. Oh, no, they cleaned the bathroom walls. All those signatures are gone. No, we used to have a guest book downstairs for the first few years. And so somebody saw so many interesting names, they stole it.
now I do want to ask. So I've heard there's a ghost at the Ear Inn. Can we please explain the ghost and if the ghost exists? And have we seen the ghost?
Well, that's a very personal question that you have to answer. Have you seen the ghost? Have you felt it?
I have not, but I think you have seen the ghost and we need the story.
Well, the house has been particularly haunted by sounds. Because when I moved in here, it was the remains of a TV radio repair shop. So every room in the house was full of old TVs and radios like that one and like that one.
Okay.
And so when we finally put in a landline, we get all this interference. We hear all these voices and said, well, what's all that noise? Well, it's probably from the radio ghosts. But later there was a
I think you know what ghost I'm referring to.
Mickey.
Correct. Mickey was
Well,
quite
Mickey
promiscuous.
was supposedly the retired sailor who went into the electronics repair business, except that he'd take the deposit, never fix it because he didn't know what to do. And so, well, Mrs. McGillicuddy, I think you should buy the new one. It's much better. I can't fix this. But he keep the $5 deposit. He lived off the deposits, accumulated piles of it, literally floor to ceiling. And we took days to throw it all out and cart it away when it would be worth quite a bit as, antique electronics. Uh, But Mickey supposedly died on the street, run over by a truck.
Okay.
His ghost lingers here, but a roommate said she was so bothered in the bedroom up there by some ghost that kept bothering her, she immediately upped and moved out. And then her roommate, who was a young wannabe film director, made a movie about Mickey. If you haven't seen it, I think I sent
You
it.
sent it to me, yeah.
Come out wherever you are.
Yep.
It's the full title. But it's about the ghost of a sailor who dies after being murdered in the kitchen and then haunts the house until some woman will be kind to him and release him from his purgatory,
Okay.
which goes over from the 1820s to 1940 deco thing. It's a kind of a sweet little film with analog surreal montage photography, but it became the trailer story as it was shown around in film biz for the movie Ghost with Demi Moore. And
Oh, was
Nancy
the
Goldfull.
okay, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that is the same story made in a bigger loft with a little more
Oh, whoa.
development.
Okay.
The original story is here, the poor old Mickey, who finally is released from his trouble. So he's not around anymore, unless he's in the computer,
I feel like ghostly
which
presence.
camera has foggy troubles because of Mickey.
Can anyone see any kind of illusion behind us?
Yes, the halo is not deserved. It is merely an illusion.
Now, Rip, I feel like we've done a lot of talking about the Ear Inn and the James Brown house, but you yourself are an iconic New York figure. I just want to hear kind of your story. I feel like you've lived so many lives. Even today, he is a shipping captain. He's always, globetrotting, doing these unreal adventures. I guess would love to hear kind of just about your life. Post grad, you lived here. What was like your career like? And now again, still, doing awesome things to this day, but would love to hear a little bit more and tell the audience.
Hmm.
And also recently written about in the Financial Times. Great article about
Well,
him.
I demand a priest if I'm going to confess. Other than, I guess I followed my interests in spite of all good advice and education.
You did go to Columbia though.
Well, like a moth to the flame, I wanted to come to the city
There we go.
only because I was so interested in music. And I got into, I was from a high school in Maryland where I got into every college I applied. I was such a good student, I guess.
Oh,
But I let my dog decide where I went to school by putting food on top of all these college catalogs. He went right for Columbia, and so I ended up coming to New York.
the old school
Good.
Chat GPT.
Yes.
Asking
if
the
you-
dog
if
what
you-
to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
You don't need no stinking typing. You just psychically understand. So of course, my parents were dismayed. My college advisor said, "Don't go to New York." And my grandfather said, "You go to New York, it's full of foreigners, communists, and perverts."
Oh God.
And I said, "Well, I guess that's in the curriculum, man. Find out what's going on." And that was, I was born in New Mexico and raised around the country as a military brat. So I'm very much middle mixed American, and New York was always the exotic and threatening place why would you want to go there? Even driving through is scary, much less living there. But anyway, my interests continued. And but I came here when I was 18, and the school went on strike, and the Vietnam War was happening, and I joined protests and was tear gassed and jailed a couple of times, and classes were not just disrupted but canceled for months on end. more than the Palestinian Gaza thing recently, which I went to kind of observe as a alumni resistor. They wouldn't let me in just because I got beaten up and tear gassed. I get no
You
credit
show your old pass.
for my wounds back then. And so then I've had a kind of a in and out of uh, city experience, but because of this place, I've stayed here all my life. Now that's 50 some years now.
Yep.
So I'm finally getting used to it, I suppose. But I've been sort of thrown out of town a few times by my own doing or elsewise. But I always come back here because it's like a fountain of humanity.
Yep.
Who knows what's going to happen? The city is the infinite city because if you are social and active enough, you'll always find more and more people who appreciate it or help you out. I come from a small town background where you know everybody, and what are you going to do? You're going to stay here, you're going to go around the world. And my ancestors became horsemen, cavalry, U.S. Army. My father, both my grandfathers and my earlier ancestors all became career Army officers,
Oh, whoa.
field horsemen and field artillery. So this was the first Cav division, and my grandfather went to fight Pancho Villa into Mexico, and the sort of tradition of get out there and do it. I suppose I applied differently. Being a natural pacifist, I decided to join the civilian Navy,
No way.
Merchant Marine, and Coast Guard.
I didn't know. Where were you based?
No, I'm based here.
Oh, I thought you meant, okay.
I was not active duty Coast Guard, but
Got
I
it,
got
got
my
it, got it,
license,
got it.
and I have had a career at sea, working
Oh,
in different,
that's what, okay. That's why even
So
today we
different-
still got it, got it,
worked
got it,
on
got
many
it, got
ships
it.
around the world for many years, and every
Okay.
year I go 3 to 5 months around the world. It's by sea, by ships. Now I have a Coast Guard license as a captain
Okay.
and certifications for this, that, and the other. Worked in Antarctica, the Arctic, and rivers in China, and all kinds of places. But my license is now lapsed because I'm staying home and doing what I want to do. But my actual employment is as a maritime historian, speaking on small ships that are going into the ends of the world. So when they're going somewhere, they want to find somebody to talk about it who's been there.
There we go. You're all over it.
So I've been this last month for 6 weeks in the Baltic and Norwegian up to the Arctic. And every winter I go around South Africa. And so I keep going out on my now talking to. Unfortunately, I'm not the one responsible for the safety of the ship.
Good. We don't need a lot of liability. But yeah,
I
speaking
said, it's the water will be warmer than it feels when
speaking of being global, I was in Paris, and of course, who do I run into? Rip right there.
well, your private airport.
Any other
Well, that's a whole nother, many lives in many places. Hopefully they don't miss an airplane.
any other good trips planned for you though?
Well, I'm really thinking about taking my little sailboat and just say gunk hole and go live aboard and just go wherever you feel like
There
it,
we go.
depending
Putz
on the
along.
weather. I've been so scheduled and whatever you would call it, driven around for so long. I'm really thinking about just doing nothing my way for a change. Because,
Post up. Why not?
well, I mean, now you don't really know where your employment is or where your community is, and so the world has sort of expanded into this multitude of possibilities. But what are you actually going to do with your physical body while you're here? So um, and I spent many years canoeing and paddling and camping and all that stuff. But um, and I have friends who cast everything away and go sail around the world and disappear somewhere. And I've already done that a couple of times. I've already been everywhere, every port, every country, every ocean you can name pretty much. So now I just feel like hanging out in New York or Rockaway specifically.
So I guess again, you've lived a lot, seen a lot. For everyone watching, excuse me. Well, I guess what advice do you have? Because I feel like you're someone that has lived such a cool life that seems to have no or if very few regrets. You know, what advice do you have for the people watching here?
Confess. Confess what you really want to do.
Okay, true.
because of the demands of, let's say, earning a living or pleasing your family or your friends, and often constrict what you could possibly do. And right or wrong, I've always been sort of shot from circus cannon and end up in a different part of the world, have to figure out something to do because I've had uh, let's say some sharp turns in my own life, particularly when I was drafted. I left college to work as a full-time training audio engineer at a Midtown studio. And I specifically said, well, they're not going to draft me because lottery means you have 1 in 10 chances of getting drafted. If I take this job and take a leave from college, I'll be probably okay. And this was, say, a bit of a dream job for a music lover. I was there mastering the final LP productions for all these labels,
Oh, whoa.
from Deutsche Grammophon to Fania to Atlantic to Vanguard and none such. And all these great musicians were coming in a room this size, and I was helping them. So, wow, I ended up in the center of the musical universe. And then
Insane.
I got my notice I had to report for duty, and then I realized I couldn't get out of it. I wasn't a conscientious objector. So I said, I'm out of here. I hitchhiked to Mexico. I kept going, ended up living in Brazil,
No way.
for a year and a half or more until they pardoned or changed the status of the prosecutions. And so I could come back to college, and I did. One of my few regrets in life, and I went back to college.
I think it's worked out for you.
Well, I still didn't get a degree. I knew too much for them to give me a degree. But I was a refugee. I could have been, so I could have been a Brazilian. And the woman I lived with down there, she still calls me refugio de America, the refugee from America.
Did we pick up any Portuguese down there?
Well, I had to, yes. And I've been back numerous times, but I made a terrible decision. My father sent me a air ticket, said, you could come back now or never come back.
Oh, was he
But you will
pissed?
not be, well, he was an active duty
Oh,
U.S. Army
okay, yeah,
military
yeah,
officer,
yeah.
so it was hard for him to bail out his draft dodging son.
Got it, got it,
I
got
don't
it.
want to go into the details of all this, except my grandparents never forgave me, never spoke with me ever
No
again.
way. They were lost.
And my mother was angry to the day she died because I dishonored the family. But had I stayed, I would have been somebody. I had it all set up to live in Brazil, but I had to come back to the cold, cruel north.
How'd you make a living down there?
Busking. I was a street musician.
You were? That's so great.
Well, they were very tolerant of square beat Yankees. If you could do it today. But anyway, that's my early days. I was lucky to, the list of times I might have died is rather long, but particularly on that journey, because I was vagabonding all the way for a year. And I lived off the kindness of strangers. And I would be deathly sick and they'd take care of me a number of times. And banditos would take everything I had, but then they give me a meal.
What's a bandito?
A local thief.
Oh, got it, got it, got
And,
it.
I lost whatever I had, what little I had that was stolen because I was camping and hitchhiking. And so, that's a sort of a drama for a year and a half that my son had me narrate it because he didn't believe me. So I said, well, I'll tell you the whole story. They made some school report about it, but I finally actually told the whole tale. Which I'm, that and some adventures at sea, I'm still amazed. I'm still.
Also, I feel like you got to write a book of something.
Well,
Have we done this?
I'm compiling my papers, which are
Okay,
extensive. But I've had, multiple lives.
correct.
So you have your, whatever business or work life and adventures or travel or love life or poetic writings or something like that. I've had more than enough of all of them. I just want less, please. Oh, Lord Almighty, give me less to do. But I'm actually actively sorting out my papers, which are a little more than I can digest. Because I lived from the age of ink and paper,
Yes.
Ear magazine.
That's what my dad does. He prints out everything, puts it in a thing, closet downstairs.
Well, it tends to be there if the flood don't get it.
True.
But, I've ended up with so many different fields of endeavor that, people say, oh, pick one thing and do that. But I'm the multitasker. And, I would only encourage people to entertain your fantasies and then figure out how the reality fits.
True. I love that. And also, that's kind of what I'm doing right now. So I was laid off a few months ago, and now I'm just trying to figure out how to make it in the content world. Hence, this podcast is one of the avenues. But I found that your advice is true. It's like I'm just trying to make it work, and it's working. So yeah, I guess just take your path, follow Riff's advice. Uh, you don't need to do the conventional thing to make it work. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Well, I just remember the comment of my friend John Lennon said, "Life is what happens while you're planning to do something else."
So true. That's such a good point. Half of life is just reacting to it. You've
Yeah,
seen,
you end up in places you didn't expect as long as you're open to the possibility. And most people get stuck in one way or the other, and they don't want to do something that they may blossom doing.
so true.
And again, this is everybody's personal struggle with whatever the reality is that tells them, no, you can't do that. And some people say, well, yes, I can, and they keep going and they end up doing it. Most people cannot sustain the effort to fulfill um, their unreal expectations. Everybody would like to have more, have it all easier, but the real question is, how much will you work at something that other people don't agree with to make it finally happen?
So you just being persistent is what's key.
Well, persistence is the primary quality of our evolution.
So true.
In spite of our lack of knowledge and bad ideas and things, but you end up being buffeted around enough so that you make decisions that allow you to survive and persist. So if you can't drive forward with your intentions, then you're just drifting down the stream without a paddle. You have to be able to want to go somewhere and make it possible. So I've had many a failed project, but then I'm always surprised at what has happened.
And I think that's always so interesting when you want to do something, it doesn't work out, and then you end up somewhere better. And it's just how life works.
Well, that's the Taoist thought that when your effort is only commensurate with the impossibility, and if you try and don't succeed, you may let it go, but you can also revisit it. So I always remember the story of the Chinese farmer who has a son who doesn't seem to be able to do anything, and one day a wild horse runs through, and the kid is so excited, goes and grapples the horse and bridles it, brings it back home. And the neighbor said, "Well, that's great. Your son, who showed no promise, is now able to manage a horse." And the old farmer said, "Well, you never know. It may be good, it may be bad. You can't judge things just because what you see. You have to wait and see what happens." And so then the emperor calls for universal draft into the army. But meanwhile, the young guy fell off the horse and broke his leg, so he was exempt. So, yeah, so the old guy said, well, they say, well, that lucky your son broke his leg on his new horse, so he didn't have to go in the army. You don't know whether it's good or bad. And the story goes on in the Chinese version of it, except that if, we're all faced with some sort of a crisis or judgment at a certain point, whatever trouble or opportunity, you have to decide. And you may make the wrong decision, but you continue anyway and you correct what you can do. But you can't be flustered and inactive. So a friend of mine working in some business, he said, I activated the network. He was out here, his phone was ringing on Friday afternoon or a business. I activated it. I said, oh, now is that your profession, an activator? I said, well, you're like a catalyst. You're like the rainmaker. You're in a position where you can get other people interested in do stuff. So that's the value of being here in New York City. Is
so true.
You have a network and you have the means, and we're fortunately not getting bombed out. And so the value of being in this kind of situation is that you have communication and you
Yep.
can um, have feedback and you can go on and you can make the right decision for who you want to be, where you want to be.
And I think, yeah, going off your point, people are always kind of amazed that people move to New York City, pay these exorbitant rents, but it's for the people. You're around the most amazing people in the world. And even if people don't live in New York, they come through New York. So it's really worth it just to be around, the people, the connections you make, the opportunities you have. Doesn't exist anywhere else on earth, I don't think.
Well, as a frequent flyer, I think it actually happens in most cities. But the unique thing about New York is there's no majority.
Okay.
You name whatever you want, and it's the only majority is it's the US dollar.
Yep.
And so you have more people from more places humbly cooperating or desperately so
True.
to make this city tick. But in spite of all predictions, this is the model for global cooperation.
Yep.
And all these, you go anywhere in the world, suddenly you have a majority culture, a tradition, a religion that says, well, you're just a visitor. Only in the US and particularly in New York, where you say, I'm going to be local. And I'm a what I call a dryback. I'm an immigrant from New Mexico where I didn't have to swim across the river. Oh, yes, I did, the Hudson River.
Here we go.
And so
Water
I
rights.
appreciate that I'm not feeling like I have purvey over all these other people. If anything, it was very humbling. Said, well, you have no particular privilege just because you're a white guy from the Midwest. In fact, we don't like you guys. And so we face the same situation as many people do when they immigrate or they're denied this, that, or the other in our country. But I think New York City, like other major cities in the US, if not other parts, we're kind of an equalizer. So people get down to their real abilities or their uses, and then they have their hopes and expectations, but they cooperate and then they build a society.
True.
And on that count, I think everybody should have free beer. When I run for mayor,
There we go.
it's gonna
Love
be,
it.
it's gonna be free rent, free education, free healthcare, free beer.
Rip for mayor of New York
But
City.
no more free love, $1 a kiss, that should pay for all of it.
Well, Rip, thank you for being the first guest on Johnny Murtaugh. Really appreciate
All
it.
right, well,
If you're in New York City, stop by the Ear Inn. Stop and say hello to Rip. He's the best in the Ear Inn. Again, best bar in all of New York City.
all right, and the first one's on me.
Thanks,
Okay,
everyone.
thank you, guys.
As always, follow Johnny Murtaugh for more. Excellent. Thank you. Rip. That was great. That was a really good talk. You're fascinating. And also, I learned so much about you that I didn't even know.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Until somebody asked me that, I don't.
Wait, thank you so much
Well,
for doing that.
that's what happens when you live too long. You can't